Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had a fantastic week. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live, welcome back. And for those of you who are tuning into the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining. Be sure to subscribe. And thanks for those who are starting to join here today. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know where you're tuning in from today in the chat. Today I am in Maryland, where the weather is nice. I'm excited. It's in the 70s. For those of you who know me, I do reside in the state of Florida. Usually traveling around. Not a big fan of the snow in the earlier months of this year. But nonetheless, of course, it's warming up now as we like are heading into July soon before you know it. But again, let me know where you're tuning in from today. Let's see, we got San Francisco in the house. Welcome. San Diego, Toronto, and Maryland. Hey, welcome. I'm in your state right now. Pennsylvania's in the house. Washington, D.C. New York is here. Georgia, Missouri, New York, another New York, Houston, Texas, Mississippi. So welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you all are doing great on whatever your wellness goals were for this year. Since we are almost halfway through the year, it's hard to believe, but since we're almost halfway through the year, I thought today would be a really good time for us to just think about checking in with yourself. And what I mean by that is hopefully you had some wellness goals, some self-care goals, or some things that you wanted to work on this year. And again, we're almost at the halfway point. So take a minute today to really just think about where are you at in that process. So maybe, and thanks to those who are still starting to join here, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Maybe at the beginning of the year, you said, you know what, this year I want more self-care. Maybe you said you wanted to take more time with family and friends. Maybe you said you wanted more solo time. Whatever it is that you wanted this year when it comes to your mental wellness, check in with yourself as we're halfway through the year. Because the reality is things happen, right? Life happens. So whatever your word or phrase was, we talked about that at the beginning of the year. It may or may not still apply, and that's completely fine. Or you may need to adjust, right? So when you have that sort of mindset, though, whatever it is you're trying to work on, whatever philosophies, whatever mindset you're trying to put yourself in, you always have to continue to check in on yourself, because this is, again, we're halfway through the year here, almost halfway through the year. So you're allowed to make changes. You're allowed to adjust things based on what's happening in your life. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let's see, we got Columbus, Ohio, Richmond, Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma, Atlanta, Georgia, Brazil, Venezuela's in the house, Tennessee, Virginia, Houston, Texas. Welcome, welcome. And thanks so much for joining here. Someone said, I'm working on losing weight. Wonderful. Again, whatever your goals are, check in with yourself, though, emotionally and mentally. So a lot of you, depending on what type of goals you have, no matter what kind of goals you have, frankly, you still have to check in with your mental state. You still have to check in emotionally on how are you doing, right? So at the beginning of the year, for those of you who missed that mental health moment, the replays are always on YouTube. But beginning of the year, we had a huge discussion, you all, about what was your word or what was your phrase heading into 2023, right? And I told you all my phrase, which was all in, meaning anything that I did, whether it's whatever it was related to, whether it was related to professionally or personally or with whoever I was serving, I wanted to make sure I was all in, like doing the absolute best I can. However, also incorporating the self-care, right? So which is why it's really important to continue to check in on yourself to say, wait a minute, how am I doing? Whatever your goals, if your goal was to lose weight, if your goal was to make more money, if your goal was to spend more time with family and friends, like those are usually the most popular goals that we have, and things for us and things that we want to do with others, right? But throughout that, how are you doing? So that's a question that I want you to continue to ask yourself. And thanks to those who are who are starting to join here. Someone said, yes, you're allowed to change your mind. Exclamation point. You are, because here's the thing. So here we are, right? The 6th month of the year. And what you may have thought you wanted at the end of 2022 in December may be completely different now because something may have changed in your life, and that is okay. Things happen. We change. You may have had a move. You may have had a loss. You may have had a change in economic status. You may have had a change in your relationship. You may have had a change in who you are as a person, growth spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. Things happen. We change. And you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to adjust the goals that you made for your sanity as well, right? And for your wellness. Marilyn's in the house. Welcome. I am in your state today, and it's gorgeous weather. I'm really super excited about that. Let me tell you, as a Floridian, that it's really nice weather here today. Chicago's in the house. Dallas, Texas. Hey, with a lot of waves. Seoul, Korea's in the house. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Another person from Houston. There's a lot of Houston people here today. Boston's in the house. Michigan's in the house. Welcome, welcome, and thanks again for joining. So today we are focusing on the fact that we're almost halfway through the year. We're in the 6th month of the year, almost done with this month, right? And really taking the time to assess whatever it is that you made, your goals, your wellness goals, your self-care, being a better version of you, which is what Mental Health Moment is all about. Where are you at in that process, and how are you doing? Because a lot of times we are constantly checking in with other people, which is a good thing, but we're not checking in with ourselves, right? So I want you today to really make that commitment this week to think about asking yourself the question, how am I doing? And someone said, yep, I made the decision to go back to school. Congratulations. I love it. I love it. Wonderful. Kudos to you. Good luck to you. That's a great decision. And I hope everything works out. So thanks for sharing that. Someone said they're here from St. Catherine, Jamaica. Welcome. Someone said their goal is to get back into church to regain their peace. Wonderful. There are no right or wrong goals for your mental health. The major thing to think about is this something that works for you? Is this something that's going to bring you joy? Is this something that's going to bring you peace? Is this something that is not harmful to yourself or others? That is literally the criteria, because whatever goal you may have for you, it may not look the same for your mom, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your friend, your neighbor, or whomever else, right? This is for you. This is what brings you peace, what brings you happiness, what makes you the best version of who you are, right? So please remember that, because we're so inundated with messages, you all, so many messages about what's best for you, whatnot, but you have to take the time for you to check in with yourself and ask yourself what works for you. Someone said they're here from Richardson, Texas. Welcome. Philadelphia is in the house as well. Welcome, welcome. And a lot of times too, when you think about taking the time again to check in, taking the time to think about what do you need, it's a process, depending on where you're at in your wellness journey, that you make it a practice, and then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes a part of who you are. I just saw, let me see if I can find it real quick. I just saw this really cool thing this week on Instagram. Actually, I shared it in my story for those of you who follow. I'm going to see if I can find it really quick and read it to you all, because it was such a great thing. Oh, here it is. And this is it's the Alchemist is the IG account, but it said that when we do certain things, right, the first thing is it's an intention, right? So you may have an intention to say, man, I want to fill in the blank, whatever your goals are. I want to do this certain thing. I want to be this better person. Hopefully we all want to be a better person, right? So first it's an intention. You intend to do it. Then the next thing on this list, I'm just reading, I don't know if you guys can see this here. This quote that I thought was really good, this picture that I found this week, this post. So first it's an intention, then it's a behavior, right? So whatever it is for you, if you say, man, I want to add more self-care in, you intend to do that, then you start to do things, right? To have more self-care in your life, whatever self-care looks like for you. Then it becomes a habit, as I mentioned before, then a practice, then a second nature. And then my favorite thing is then it is simply who you are, right? And that is my hope for each and every one of you watching. I know some of you, because I see your names coming every single week to Mental Health Moment. And that is my hope for many of you watching this, that you get to the point, it takes all of us have a different wellness journey, but you get to the point where whatever you're doing for you that works for you, that makes you become the best version of who you are so you can show up for yourself and for those around you, becomes second nature, right? So you don't have to think about, man, what do I have to do now? What do I have? No, it is a part of who you are. That is the goal, because when you know the part of who you are says, man, I have to check in with myself, I have to take care of myself, then you know you've made it, if you will, right? So that is hopefully your goal. And again, whatever shape or form that looks like. I have shared with transparently with many of you that have watched Mental Health Moment over the years that I used to be really horrible at self-care. Which is probably why I'm really passionate about teaching self-care, because I know what that is like to not take care of yourself. I know what it's like to run very ragged. I know what it's like to not get a lot of sleep. I know what it's like to neglect physical health and mental health and emotional health and spiritual health. I I really understand. I really understand what that was like. But then there comes a point where you go, man, I have to live better. Like, I have to take care of myself. And I hope you all get to that point. And then you start to, again, just like that IG post said, you start to take the steps. And at some point, it becomes a part of who you are. So right now, today, self-care is a huge part of who I am. Like, that's a non-negotiable. I live a really crazy, hectic schedule, like many of us, but I always incorporate self-care, even if it's something short, even if it's something that doesn't take a lot of time. Always doing that, always checking in. What do I need? How am I doing? How am I feeling? Checking in on my spiritual growth, physical, emotional, mental growth, right? That's a huge part of the mindset. So that's what I hope that wherever you're at in the process, your goal is to get to that point where it's a completely a part of you. And for some of you, you're like, man, I'm there, Dr. Hammond. Like, I'm there, I'm good. And for some of you, you may be like, you know what? I need to start, right? It doesn't matter where you're at in this race. You could be at the starting line, you could be at the finish line. There's probably some other race to run anyway, right? Or you could be anywhere in between, right? So this is a lifelong commitment. Yep. Someone said that, and welcome those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Someone said, hello from London. Welcome. Becoming the best version of myself by and with prayers. Beautiful. Wonderful. That's a great thing. Again, we are all at different stages. The reason why I told you all in the beginning how it's so important, and again, we're almost halfway through the year here, so important to check in with yourself, is because at different points in your life, you're going to need different things. So this person that just mentioned, I'm becoming the best version of myself by and with prayers. You might be in a state where you're like, you know what? I really have to work on my spiritual growth. And honestly, a couple years ago, some of you already know the story, but I lost someone very close to me. It was extremely difficult to deal with. That grief was heavy, really hard back in 2020. And I had to do a lot of spiritual work, a lot of growth to get through that, because it was hard. Grief is very difficult. So though, you might have to ask yourself, man, where do I need to grow the most right now? Is it spiritually? Is it mentally? Is it physically? Some of you mentioned losing weight. Is it emotionally? You're dealing with something, right? Like, what do you need? And where do you need to grow? And then you focus all your attention in that area. And then because life happens, something will happen a couple years later. And you might be like, you know what? Spiritually, I'm good. I got my, my kind of my battle armor on, if you will. I'm prayed up, or, whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you to have that spiritual growth. And then you might change and need something physically, or you might need something mentally, or whatever other area of your life. Right. And hi from Arizona. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So I am sharing all these things with you today because this is a reminder on today's mental health moment to, again, continue to check in with yourself. We are halfway through the year. Adjust whatever wellness goals you made as needed. There's no benefit of self-blame. I know a lot of times we want to do certain things, accomplish certain things, get certain things done, but then sometimes when it doesn't get done and it turns into self-blame, and it turns into doubt, and it turns into fear, and it turns into anger or depression, anxiety, and all those sorts of things. Those are not helpful things necessary for you. So instead, when you think about, okay, how can I adjust this, right? Maybe you need to adjust the timeline or whatever your goal is, or maybe you need to adjust the goal itself, which is okay. You're allowed to do that. The major thing is you do what's best for you. And hi, thanks for joining. Someone just joined here from Jamaica. Welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So if you all need me at any time, you can always reach out, drnikishahammond.com. You can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. I'm more than happy. Most of you send me questions in direct message anyhow, but I'm more than happy to get you any resources you need in your area. If you're out of country, I will do my best. I know some of you have asked internationally about different mental health resources. I'll do my best to hopefully find something that can connect you to a mental health resource. So be sure to reach out if you need that. I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Have an amazing week. Continue to take care of yourselves. Be blessed, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great week, you all. Bye, guys.